Hello and welcome to our show, Midwest Weekly. I'm your host, Hairwiz, and this is my co-host, CLT, and we are here to give you a breakdown of the finals. Yes, the finals that finally happened last week, and we're finally recording it this weekend. Sorry for the delay. A lot was going on. As some of you don't know, I was out for some medical reasons. That's why I wasn't able to cast some series. So I was out for about 4 or 5 days. And then me and CLT just got busy with the fourth. So we do apologize. But with that said, since I didn't get to do what I wanted to do on the day of finals, now we have ourselves the 2025 Spring Split Champions, the Femboys. Yeah, I wanted to do that. So if you guys watch Femboys, I hope you enjoy that. I know CLT does fantastic as always, but
I don't bring it like that. You win.
nah, you win. But CLT, tell everybody how your week has been.
It's been hot, it's been humid, busy at work, and like every other dog owner out there, we hate this week.
Yeah,
So, once we get past, the fireworks, we'll be fine.
yeah, but you got about another roughly a week or so. So
Yeah, unfortunately.
then it'll start to die down.
I can't wait for fireworks shows just to go to drones. So then all dogs are saved from this week.
Instead of all dogs go to heaven, all dogs go to sleep peacefully, right? You know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, it's does suck a bit. But I hope your Fourth of July was good. I know mine was pretty quiet and nice. So and
It wasn't bad.
everybody else's I hope was also very good. Um, but yeah, big stuff before we start talking about this series. CLT. This is his last show with us guys until next sweat. You guys thought I was gonna tell you he was gone forever. No, he's not. No, he's just gonna be taking a break. So if you continue watching the show, as we are gonna have the show for the rec league, you're not gonna hear his beautiful voice much more, or at least as often. I guess he might pop in here or there.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
open
So
to guesting for the rec league. I know a lot of those guys in there, so.
yeah. So let's make this a really good show. And I think we used to sometimes talk about like all stars during like I know quarters finals week and stuff. Sometimes when we did the show, but I'm gonna skip all stars for this week, this specific time. It was a fun set of games, but really I'm just here to talk about the finals. So CLT, I figure since you're the man that got the cast it, the lucky man, I will let you lead us off here with game one. And as you guys can also see, Battlefy is broken. I don't know, man. Battlefy didn't work for all playoffs. I don't know what happened, but it's all good. So,
It didn't work for the rec league week one
oh
either.
my God, what is happening? Okay, all right. So,
Well, yeah, we found some ways around that for the rec league to at least give us something useful. So, um, we'll talk about that in a later show. But yeah,
okay.
so
Well, the most important thing is that we've got them recorded, so the stats are here always. So, go ahead, CLT. Why don't you take us away here with game one?
yeah, so big hype matchup. Instinct versus Femboys. We thought. I mean, personally, I thought it was pretty even across the board. Um, in regards to the solo laners, the bot lanes, the jungles. So it was going to be a pretty epic series. Looking at this game one draft, I thought Femboys did something a little unique in saving Monk Mentality to R5. Generally, he takes the burden a lot in draft, which he did throughout the whole series. He got bans lobbied at him a boatload of times. After it was all said and done, there was what, six? Yeah, six mid lane bans if we're including Lucian because Monk played Lucian mid. So uh, the B1 Corki is very strong, can is very flexible, just does a lot of things really good, and I think it's kind of a scary underrated champion. But Femboys then, Zinzao Varus, Instinct and Respawn, Wukong Orange, so they're already wanting to kind of play a front to back. So bans come out, and then Femboys give the Karma a go. So we now have Varus Karma bot lane, pretty poke heavy bot lane, which I think if there's one way to attack a Corki, range and poke is one way to do it. Lethality Varus I think is really strong if you can play it and you can get it off the ground, and it does just a lot of damage. But Instinct then respond with Hui Rel. Hui is not something we see like first rotate or first played in Fearless. I think there's a lot of meta mid laners that can push him around, but Monk mentality, for as aggressive as he likes to play, he busts out this R5 Xerath, which Xerath is a pretty well-known answer in the Hui. He outranges him, he virtually outdamages him. And Xerath also gives another angle of attack range and poke wise into Corki as well. Granted, he has a lot of front line coming at him, but I really do like the Xerath in this game. So what's your thoughts, especially on like the Wukong early? I think his value raises in draft, but what's your thoughts on this kind of Wukong super early and fearless?
I mean, as the meta had shifted, I mean, it's still a similar meta to what we've been playing for most of the split. I do think that you are seeing some of the shift away from the Vi and the Pantheon Jinzhou. They're still prevalent, but the Wukong is something in that mix that was always the, like you said, later in the draft, like maybe game three, game two, sometimes depending on what the bans are. So I still think it's a very very strong champion. If you see a really good angle, I'm all for it. It's known to be a pretty even matchup into Zhenzhou, I would say. But the Triforce build right now is so disgusting. So if you get a lead uh, on Wukong, like you can just take over a game. With that said, he's also into favorable champs. I mean, it's a lot of stationary. I'm just chilling, no dash champions. Wukong likes that, so I got no problem with the pick overall. I think both drops from both teams look pretty good. Um, I really just want to kind of see how the game kind of got to where we got to eventually. So, what was kind of your take throughout this game? Like, what was the key points?
Uh, for the most part, I thought Avalon's jungle pressure this game one really kept the game like super fast paced, and it was very hard for Monk specifically, but later in the game, like the whole bot side of the map to walk in the fog of war. Don had a really solid rail game, and when Avalon would go and invade with him, there's just a boatload of CC and engage getting thrown at this bot side of the map, which Xerath, Varus, and Karma, excuse me, are not the tankiest thing. So it became really hard overall. And Good Boy was a recipient on a lot of these kills going into the mid game. So once he got off the ground, he could side lane with not much fear, and he always had either Avalon or Don in his back pocket. So I thought the advantages that Instinct created in this early to mid game, especially after they got feats, they just snowballed it very well. Played the map really well. Instinct has always been one of those teams where if they're allowed to do what they do off the leads that they gain in the early game, they're a very dangerous team. They almost never drop games while they're ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this is true, but they've kind of been known as a team this specific playoffs to be like, hey, I'm gonna drop a lead and come back. So, not that they can't dominate when ahead, of course. I just think it's kind of a funny thing that they've been headed towards, but it appears that this game one really went their way early on and didn't really look back too much. You would say, right?
Yeah, yeah. This they didn't really look back on any of this. I think probably this is it looks like a team had a really solid game plan when it came into the draft, and they just knew exactly how to play out this game one. Uh, they had probably been practicing on this. I know they took a week off because of scheduling and everything for the finals. So It was a very methodical, very well played game one here by Instinct, with the highlights just being on mainly Good Boy and Eclipse had quietly a really good game as well.
Yeah, I kind of moved up a little bit here into the 20-minute mark. I see a 16 kill to 6 here, and I mean that's a pretty sizable lead here at 20 minutes. You're talking about 5K and 3 Drakes. I mean, it's really hard to overcome that when you're really more of a poke comp. I think. Um, what I find interesting and almost like strange a bit from their comp is really I think Varus. Now that I look at it more, and I like poke, but I feel like they needed some more disengage for the poke. Like I mean, Jinzao can kind of be that, but we don't know what Jinzao prefers to do. He prefers to more go forward, which he has the Mbessa to play well with him. I wonder if they had something that could just get the Wukong off of them, or maybe disengage uh, this Rel. That might have been something that was really good for them. So that allowed their poke comp to poke with really out much threat. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that you play this into to heavy engage. Good luck, and once the lead starts to snowball, they can just tink your poke at objectives, and then just either take objective in your face or just fight you.
Yeah, I think the thing that kind of stood out, you're talking about a poke comp, is they really want, a really stable front line to play around. And while Xin Zhao Karma can play that kind of front line-ish ability, um, maybe something instead of Mbessa on the top side could have allowed their comp to at least be able to sit back and absorb more pressure and maybe try to stabilize the game a little bit more. But considering, everything that was getting thrown and the invades that were coming, Inferno had himself a really solid game here. He did die quite a few times, but it felt like every time he died, he was really close to taking somebody out or went one for one
Yeah,
with
I
them.
mean, he's the saving grace in this game if there is one, right?
Yeah.
he's keeping them afloat, and I'm not saying that nobody's doing their job. I mean, Monk is farmed well here. Mac's not in too bad of a spot. Like everybody's doing pretty well in the gold department, but he's just kind of like trading the kills, getting the picks when he can, getting the one for ones. The problem is just not able to get any Drakes, and due to that fact, I mean, you talk 24-minute soul here. It's Chemtech, though there's not a lot of executions here. I think the only one that has that in their kit here is what the Virus. Does Virus have an execute on Q?
I believe he does, yeah. Or at least the WQ.
Yeah. So like that's really the only execute, but nonetheless, I mean that's pretty nice into a poke heavy team, I'd say as well. So it just gets really difficult once you hit that point for their team comp to play. But they fought hard here in game one. And
Yeah.
they kind of I feel like you see in this game, and from a little bit I've watched of it from before we did the show, I feel like this kind of set the precedence what the series is going to look like, which was basically how much can they weather the storm here against Instinct's power of really good macro and strong team fighting, uh, and if they can weather that, then the side lanes will be stronger for the side of Femboys. And once that kind of occurred, that's when like the games would become Femboys favored. But when you're down significant amount of gold in a game like this, 6 7K here, like it's just again like you're not gonna be able to weather that storm. But it did show you the ability to fight back because this game easily could have been over in like 20 minutes. Honestly like you have this sizable lead. You're on your way to Soul. You win a Soul fight if they try to step up to fight Soul, and you could just walk down their base if you have proper wave management. So it's kind of scary.
Yeah. Agreed. So I think the really big turning point was there was a Hui triple kill here that ended up, I think it was either before the soul or just right after it. And then they just started to levy all the advantages and everything and ended up ending the game here at like 32, 33-ish minutes.
Yeah, I'm curious. Why were you hovering Deathcap for so long? By the way,
What's that?
why were you hovering Deathcap for so long?
So one really mid-max thing that I don't know who on Instinct uh said this, but one of the best like pound for pound mage item for Ornn to upgrade is the death cap, and Ornn sat on the upgrade until Good Boy finished the death cap. So I
Okay,
was just showing the viewers how much. I think it's 180 AP. It's
gotcha,
just a big stat stick plus the 30% increase as well.
gotcha. Okay, that's fair. I just,
Yeah.
for me, when I saw, it just it looks so looks so funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I think someone in chat was questioned like how much AP does it give? I was like, well, it's 180 plus, the 30% on top of that. Uh so you're getting, math off the top of my head, somewhere in the ballpark of like 210 to 230 on the AP plus then, stacks on the other items. So you're just getting a big massive stat stick. And Arctic sitting on the upgrades was really smart of him. I think he upgraded three, and then he sat on the fourth upgrade until Good Boy got the death cap, or he upgraded two and sat on the third. But
Gotcha.
either way, like he had an upgrade, and Good Boy sitting on two BF rods. So
So he made the right call, is what you're saying.
yeah, yeah, 100%. He min-maxed the upgrades quite well, which is
Okay.
always a really impressive thing when it's an unspoken like skill expression when it comes to playing Ornn that I've always respected.
Yeah, understanding what items to upgrade is important for sure. Well, with
Yeah.
that said, talk about upgrades. Well, upgrading here in the game too, as Monk is definitely upgrading from his Zerath into an actual champion. I know he's very proficient at Akali, um, and yeah, I mean, what's your breakdown here at game two CLT?
Yeah, looking at the draft, Instinct kind of laid down the gauntlet, and Femboys tried to attack, especially like Hui and Corky with the range. I felt like Femboys, this is more of a tried and true draft of theirs. You know, the bot lane, the AD really does like Aphelios quite a bit. We see Monk just bust out this Akali on any and everybody, all takers in regard to it. And Kyle, being the carry top laner that he is, he's had some really good standout performances on Jax this playoff, along with a couple of other carries. But this was they put Kyle in a really really good matchup. I don't know how the matchup fares now, but I've always heard that Jax was a really, really good answer and almost a counter pick to Volibear when he was kind of really broken state a couple years ago. So I would assume that is still true to a lesser degree, but still Jax is a great answer to Volibear. And they Instinct saved the B5 Twisted Fate for Akali because you press Twisted Fate alt, you reveal Akali. So in hindsight, that's like a really solid answer as well. But this was again, it felt like Instinct tried to answer what Femboys threw at them, and I feel like when you do that, Femboys just always finds ways of getting advantages here. Kyle got a really really solid laning phase against Arctic. I think solo killed him at least two times that if I remember correctly, but he might have been a third. And then Monk and Mac both got early kills. Good Boy got taken down off a level one invade, and I think that went over to Mac. No, that went over to Monk, but then they also got Arctic as well. So, here at the minute and a half mark, when Monk and Mac are sitting on two kills, one apiece. That's already not a great start. And then Kyle gets the third kill, you know, like minute three-ish in lane. So you already
Yeah,
got feats of warfare by 4 minutes.
you
It's
put
kind of
you put
crazy.
yourself behind a lot when you're giving up over a kill like those kills like that, especially in the level one. It was very interesting to see because I think Good Boy, one of those um, interesting plays from him where it's like I don't actually understand what the thought process there was on the level one there. I mean, you got the flash on the Trundle. I think you could just walk away. He had over half HP still, and instead he walks in to get the gold card, and well now he's basically forced to die because if he flashes, they're just gonna flash and kill him. something I find interesting. Mistakes like that are, I'd say, a rare type from him. But that's gonna set the tone for this type of game. When your best player is uh, playing like that, well, good luck to winning the game. He still has moments to shine, but that's not the early gameplay you want to see. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you fast forward to like the 4.5 minute mark when Monk finally gets a back off, his first back is a needlessly large rod. It's like this Akali at level, 6 is going to just one shot somebody on that much AP this early.
Yeah, and they tried to punish him with the no flash there, and unfortunately, they weren't able to get the kill. TF doesn't really provide a lot of damage, so you're really hoping and praying on the J4 to do the work. But he goes Conqueror. I think if you got press the attack, maybe you can burst the Akali down there. But yeah, I mean it's one of those unfortunate things, and your first really good J4 gank, and it doesn't really result in much on a champion who has no flash. I mean that's not good either. So it just seemed like the early game wasn't really going in their favor early on.
Yeah, and they're the team that needs to just kind of absorb this early game pressure to kind of scale. Just because, Arctic's going to get pretty beefy, Avalon's going to get beefy, Good Boy going the Roa route is going to get beefy. Like this, it becomes a much more difficult game for Akali to play. And I think the really smart adaptation though is I think yeah, Kyle fell to a gank and actually yeah, he fell to a gank here at the 5.5 minute mark, and Akali moved up, got a return kill on the Arctic, and then Kyle just went mid, and they were happy with the lane swaps being what it was. Jax doesn't mind a slower pace laning phase, like what TF provides, and then Monk ends up getting a solo kill onto Arctic here as he hit that level 6 super early, and
Yeah, Volibear are not going to do much there at
yeah.
this part of the game when he's pretty far behind already, and the Akali's already a little accelerated. Um, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm watching the trades; they're not bad for Volley, but like if he really fully commits with everything, generally he should win that. So just kind of trying to play it slow, play it smart, which I respect. Don't give them anything back. Like when you have this type of lead against Instinct, they're looking for a way to punish you. And don't get me wrong, it's actually not that big of a lead. We're only talking about 500 gold, but that's still a lead. That's still an advantage. That still means you should get to your spikes first, right? Your items first. So you want to utilize that advantage and push it heavily. And it seems that's mostly what they were able to do in this game, and that's what I really like to see out of Femboys here.
Yep.
So what would you say? I mean, we know the early game went the way it did, but what was like the point in the game? I always ask you. Really broke the game. Really put Instinct in a near impossible situation.
So from what I remember, like even though Femboys got off to a really good start and the gold got allocated in all the right places, Infernal and Ashes, I don't, yeah, in like the first 15, 20 minutes I'm seeing didn't really pick up any kills. So all of this gold is getting allocated to the right spot, but there was um a back and forth sequence, I think during a split push from Kyle. No, there was a big dragon fight here at about the 24-minute mark where it felt like it was a little bit on a nice edge. We seen Kyle dive in and just in his last breath get off a really big stun, and then Infernal started to just run this backline over. But I'm trying to remember, it was definitely had a lot to do with tempo here.
Yeah, I'm
As
actually
this
noticing Instinct doing the classic Instinct thing, fall behind early, get a lead. Like, oh my goodness, these guys. it's such a it's a playoff thing for them now until they break it next split.
Oh, I I'm embarrassed that I completely forgot about this, but yeah, so they ended up Kyle falls to Arctic here in the bot lane at the 26th. and a half minutes. And then after that, Femboys just decided to completely end this game. And what I mean by Femboys, I basically just mean Mac just decided to, well, if you're looking at it, you'll see the 200 years that just got absolutely exploded onto Eclipse, Dawn, and Avalon, where he just one shot all three of them.
Well, I'll check it out right now. I do see. I mean, the gold going back and forth constantly, right? I mean, and I'm sure it looks like the towers were a big part of what got the Goldie back into Femboy's favor, as they were trading kills pretty consistently, um, which is interesting because as I was praising them for doing some really good things there in the first 10 minutes or so, at the same point, like they really had to get down and dirty in this game because they gave it back, right? So, well, luckily for them, like you said, Mac was able to find the play of the century on the 200 years champion. So, but
Yeah,
Inferno, man, I know he ends up winning the MVP. As more as I'm seeing this, man, he really, yeah, that was an explosion. He really is playing unbelievable here in the jungle in these games. I mean, 5-0-12 on a Trundle game is very, very good. And Trundle, obviously, something that's found its way back into the meta. I've been wanting to try it out again. I think it has specific matchups you really like to play it into at this point, but it's not really played for high gank pressures. It's played for objective control, and it neutralizes some of these tankier picks. So it's something very interesting to see transition back, as we are seeing it in MSI and in Pro Play, but obviously here as well. They have caught on very quickly and are playing here in this series. So, man, what? Yeah,
yeah,
that was a Mac play. That was a Mac play, man. Very, very disgusting.
yeah, yeah. I love how he sidesteps the Lucian ult, and then he just walks up and he's like, "All right, I'm just done playing games. Here you go,
Yep,
eat this."
yep. Good night.
So,
I'll talk to you
uh,
next year.
y- yeah, that's game set for this one. Let's go to game three, guys, in this regard.
All
But
right.
no,
Okay, okay,
look at
CLT. Okay, listen, you don't have to yell at me, man. If you want to go to game three, just say something, brother. We can go to game three.
yeah, yeah, 10-4 and 8. I thought the build was super good. Yeah, Mac and Monk put a lot of pressure, and they played a lot of these brawly skirmishes really well. But no, I was a Trundle hater for a while here, but Inferno made me kind of just think about it, especially into like game two, game threes of Fearless, where some of his answers might already be gone. But he has this weird dichotomy of like he disrupts a team fight, almost makes me think of Zac, but then he also has this weird trick of like I can also neutralize a tank. So my ADC that's building crit, if he's behind it all here, this helps him kind of be on an even playing field when front to backing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
But
it is interesting.
but with that said, let's do that. Let's jump into game three since I know you're excited to get there. It must have been something you really liked about this game for you to want to push into game three. Um, so go ahead and let us know what that is. What was something about game three that was so exciting to you, CLT?
Uh, the game three, I was super excited to see the draft. I thought this was a another kind of just unique draft, and in the fact that mid laners were still kind of getting banned out. We've seen the Yone, the LeBlanc, the Aurora, um, Galio. Femboys has always been a staple for banning Galio, no matter what side they're on. And Monk's been pretty vocal about how he hates that champion. But the fact that there was a Jace B3 here, I was interested to see where this was going. And then they answered it with an R3 York. And I'm not the most knowledgeable in top lane matchups, but I feel like is fairly like okay with the York matchup. York's not a great big fan of ranged top laners, or at least safe ones. And Jace has creative ways of getting out of the cage, whether he like cues something to get out, or he pops W to drop the cage quickly. So I felt like it was interesting regardless, but we've seen Monk take this Jace mid here, and Instinct. We seen Good Boy on something he hasn't showcased often, but obviously we know he can play so many things in this Syndra here. But we've seen Gwen actually escape a pick ban phase, and after that, going into like this early game, this got off to a very quick start for Instinct. I believe they attacked Monk in the mid lane with a very early gank onto from Avalon on the Zyra, which is again something I didn't really point out in the draft, but Zyra jungle coming out, which is I think a pretty good answer into stuff like Ivern, where they want to play fights super slow. Zyra's like, okay, walk into me, I dare you.
Yeah, I
Um,
feel like the well, I don't necessarily feel like it. It's a pick here. I don't know if Inferno plays, but he obviously was stealing it away from Avalon, to make sure that he could not play it in the series. I mean, they were long conning. They were obviously long conning. I don't know if they were long conning, but that's definitely what that pick was there. And try to get him into a lower pool, and goes for the Zyra like you said. Zyra is very interesting now in this current like state. I don't think she's nearly as strong as she was. I mean, even what she was known to counter, which is Wukong, she's very rarely picked into Wukong anymore because I don't think she's as good into him like she used to be. But she does have a really fast clear. All right, that's one thing she's known for, and her zone control and setup is very good. And you give her something like the Alistar, like the Syndra, to kind of set up the plays and then use the Stranglethorns. I mean, I feel like that's just that's a recipe for disaster if you're Femboys, for sure.
yeah, I think just the fact that she got off some really early ganks onto Monk and on the Kyle uh, to set up the laners. I mean, we see here at the 6 minute mark, Instinct's already up 6 kills. This is kind of like Zyra's wet dream a little bit. Like she doesn't have to go and create any opportunities once the laners get ahead. She can just sit back, farm, and then just play more of a responsive style. Is what she really likes to do. So, uh, yeah, overall, this just kind of got really ugly really quick for Instinct. But the one kind of, I'm sorry, really ugly really quick for Femboys here. The one kind of redeeming thing was again Inferno really, I don't want to say bailing out, but really helping Kyle get at least back to an even state and neutralize the lanes from the gank up top because this Gwen just kind of started doing Gwen things in these team fights. We've seen a couple of pop-offs. I'm trying to go to it in the mid game where she left Instinct like quite low and had a few potential Gwen moments. But that was kind of the only redeeming thing for Femboys here. Monk did not have the great game. Mac was just getting one shot by Good Boy every chance he walked up. Um, it just overall became pretty ugly for Femboys here in this game three. This was easily the most one-sided game of the series.
Yeah, well, I think something I like to note, I don't really like Gwen anymore. I think Gwen is actually finally becoming a champion that's like you can actually freaking deal with. Like she still could be really annoying and frustrating, but I think she's finally balanced, man. That's my opinion. Because when she's not balanced, she's so freaking OP, it's not fun to play against. Uh, and if she's too weak, then I guess she is unplayable. So I actually think now, like, you can actually play into this champion. You can deal with this champion, and I don't think she's overly strong at all right now. So, seeing her picked in this series, I'm kind of like weird about it. Like, I don't really like Gwen anymore enough to be picking her, even in a game three. I just don't really feel it. I mean, don't get me wrong, she is pretty good into like a heavy front line, but you really didn't get that here, right? So. I think I would have waited a little longer on that type of pick. But if it's a comfort pick for Kyle, and I think it is, then uh, hey, pull out what you feel comfortable on. That's the most important thing in the series.
Yeah, I thought there was a world in the draft where the Gwen was going to go mid and Kyle take the Jace top because we've seen Kyle play it earlier in the playoffs, but ultimately, yeah, Monk had the Jace here, and it just yeah, we see here 21 minutes when they grab the Otacon, it's 9-24. And a 5K gold lead, which, looking at the stats and the Dragons, 5K is kind of surprising that it wasn't larger, but they stacked Dragons. They were allowed to do anything and everything across this map. And they got a really, really like stupid early soul.
Yeah. And the
So
last thing I'll note about this draft, this is my last only take, is only because I really love this from Don Don. Alistar and the Sivir, man. I love it. You can't get any better than that. Really, the Sivir is forced to play for Spell Shield after the knockup, but at that point you're knocked up, and that's what Alistar wants from you. So it's like, how do you play the game? You really don't. So I'm such a big fan of the pick.
I, I will say though, that's kind of leading into this, the 24-minute mark. They got a really good pick on the Arctic as Instinct was setting up for this Dragon Soul, and they basically just almost base raced this, and they had the Nexus at about 50% on this base race. It was actually like one of the more epic like shot calls I've ever seen. A team like you're behind but your Jace gets caught in the bot lane and they set up for the soul point, and then you just try to full send it on their Nexus to see what happens.
Was this the call you were talking about in chat? I remember you mentioning something about like, and you at me, and you're like, man, I would have loved to have this guy for
Yeah.
this. But, oh, it was this? Okay, I was
Yeah,
wondering what you were talking about.
I needed the epicness of your call for this one. I don't think I did it the best justice in the
I
world
I'm
here,
sh-
but
I'm sure you did great. Without any doubt in my mind, you did great, man. The thing is, you don't have to be hype to always like. When I say hype, I'm talking like be high energy. You don't always have to have that. You can have simple mid energy while still maintaining high tempo of what you're talking about, and people still get hyped. Because otherwise, they wouldn't love your casting, man. They all do, so you don't got to worry about that. But yeah, I still wish I would have been there because it always is fun. I like moments like these. It's a good time as a person who loves the game. That's I think what happens is like I'm just excited in the moment myself. That's my pure energy coming out. Um, but yeah, I see they got it was only about 75% HP, but still a good attempt. They literally tried the NA thing. Just run it down mid, boys. Run it down mid. Man, if they were able to get it, the series could have been a lot different. That's for sure. But yeah, I mean,
yeah,
full soul once again at 24 minutes. This time it's a mountain soul, and it's on an Alistar and a freaking uh, Yorick. I mean, that's not fun to play into.
yeah, yeah. It was ballsy, and I think that was their only way to really get like make a stand or make something of this game.
I
So
That to me looks like going out on my terms. It's like, all right,
yeah.
guys, we feel like this is our best chance at winning this game. If we lose, we lose. Send it, and I think that's the right call. To
Oh,
just go for
100%.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in the finals. What do you like? What do you have to lose if you're already losing by 4 or 5K? Nothing. You have nothing to lose. Um, and that's how legends are made. And you know what? Stuff like that can really make a team think. I mean, your instinct. You've played two really great games of League of Legends already into this team. One of them they really battled, and then this one they nearly beat you while continuing to battle, and you were in such an advantage. That really makes you question, like, what can we close this out? So throwing your best shots is always better than not throwing any shots at all.
Yeah, I think like you said, it's going out in your own terms, but I think looking at the plus minus of it, them getting souls actually better for you because then you could potentially flip Elder and have a comeback there. But also then you're really trusting Instinct shot calling on the other side of the aspect. So, if Instinct plays it wrong, 5 or 10 seconds more wasted, then they end up winning that game. Or as if Monk said in the post game that if he just didn't get caught and he was grouped with it, they probably do end that game with one extra character there. to hit the Nexus.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just gotta full send it.
Yeah, I mean, and these are the moments, the small little moments about League of Legends that make it great. Um,
Yep.
but let's talk about what I think personally. And this is from again, I game three actually I know I didn't catch it all, so I'm glad this is the game that I got to see the coolest one of the coolest moments of the three games. Because the other two I watched back a little bit on my own time. But this game four I came in and I actually watched, and from what I've seen, I actually think this is the best game of the series. Um, what is your take on that, and how do you
I
feel?
I mean, it was the best game of the series. I 100% agree with this. It might be my favorite game of the split.
Now, that's a
Like
wild take.
it's and that's why I made it more personal. Like I think this is my favorite game just because again, you're setting up the whole situations. You see, they went back now that we're deeper in the Fearless, and they're just attacking Monk's Pool more, the Ari, the LeBlanc, the Aurora, and he just busts out this Zed. I don't want to say out of the middle of nowhere because if anybody's seen Monk played or heard him talk, like these are the style of champions he loves to play. But playing that into, an Ashe Seraphine Tom Kench, and then, Talia's going to get Seraph's Embrace as well, plus Skarner. There's not really much avenues for Zed to play this game. And then he gets solo killed early off a misplay, and the game just kind of starts to look a little bit like well, that was cool. Thanks. Um it starts to look kind of like reminiscent of game three where like Instinct is doing all the things they need to do. But then for just somehow they found a way to get back into this game. I know, I believe it was Hook in the chat said, "What the hell happened? This was over with." And then I actually was going to bring Rurika on to talk draft for game five, if there was a game five. And then afterwards I said, "Bro, where you at?" And he's like, "I just started an ARAM. What do you mean it went to game five?"
No faith in his buddy. What the heck?
I mean, looking at the game state, I kind of understand it, but you still gotta kind of ride with it. But no, kind of getting into this game, we seen here at the 7 minute mark, Good Boys already got 2 kills. I believe both of them were solo kills here, and then Monk um kind of got back into this game a little bit off a couple dragon fights. We see the dragon here at the 7.5 minute mark where Instinct started it, but Femboys finished it here. There was a little bit of a flank here by Monk. Inferno got off a really solid alt off, and Ashes, I think, was kind of the unsung hero here for this game, even though the scoreline won't show it. Some of these Nico engages I thought were pretty epic. So,
Yeah, I remember. I remember a lot of the Nico engages. Uh, like he Ashes played really, really well. But the other thing was Kyle on this Yone played extremely well too. I remember watching this live and going like, I think I was catching some of the game with coin flip members, and we were just like, oh my goodness, like this Yone, like, he was really setting up Monk 2 off the plays. Um, but yeah, man, like if there was a game in the series where I don't think it like and Inferno well deserved MVP. But if there's a game in the series where Inferno didn't really get to shine and other people did around him more than anything, it was definitely this game.
mhm.
And that's not even a bad thing when I say that, right? That's more of me saying like everybody on this team gets to have moments. That's what's so beautiful about it. I really think the Finals MVP. It's a very subjective thing, and wherever you want to go with it, I think it's acceptable. I think all five members played extremely well when they needed to. If you look at individual like performances for games, you could give like an individual MVP for that game, you know. But yeah, that's the beauty of League of Legends. I mean, you have a strong team and strong members, and I do agree that Ashes definitely got to shine in this specific game, which was really nice to see for him.
Yeah, yeah. Um, this was while Mac had a great ending to game three, uh, or I'm sorry, game two, it felt like the bot lane here kind of kept them above water. They were kind of treading a little bit. I know Monk did get one back onto Good Boy here around the 11th minute mark, but Mac sitting here at 3-1 on this Caitlyn, getting some plate gold into him. Even though he did die here, he's just kind of stamping the foot in the ground. And Caitlyn also can stand her ground pretty well, especially with traps. And most of these champions out of Instinct, they do kind of just walk in their hers. Skarner does go through walls, but if you can see where he's coming out, you can easily put a trap there and make it difficult. So, um, but yeah, no, Kyle had a really standout game. Once he got Blade of the Ruin King, I thought Yone could start to really make some magic happen in the mid game here because these tanks just build a lot of health early. They don't. They're not really known to building a boatload of resistances.
Yeah, and what's even more impressive, they win this game into good boy Talia. I mean, he's pretty proficient Talia, so we got a couple of good Talia players, and he's up there as one of them. Yeah, man,
Yep.
it's a crazy game. It was a crazy game. I'm trying to remember all the highlights, but I definitely do remember how Tom Kench became kind of a useless champion once dude got his items though, for sure on the top side. Like, how do you play the game when you're just wanting to build HP and this guy's like, ha 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 ha, HP, what a joke. Give me Blade. You don't.
Yeah. Yeah. I think as you mentioned, Tom Kench has uses, but he's just kind of he get relegated to just being an ulti bot here for Eclipse.
Yeah, and that's another thing actually. Now that I remember this draft, they just lacked damage. You have Talia Ashe, like those are your carries. That's not a lot of DPS. So I would have really preferred something else either in the top side of the map or the jungle role, just to kind of even that damage out. And I'm not saying that Tom Kench and Skarner don't do any damage, but they're like one item champions. They really spike early on in the game, and they're gonna fall off. Like in terms of the damage stat, they're gonna be tanky, and they'll scale that way, but the damage is not gonna get better and better as the game progresses.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the big turning point though, now that I'm watching this over and remembering this one specifically, was the bot lane push after they got Baron and Inferno and Mac putting up a really solid fight. Mac ends up sniping Don Don here and forcing quite a bit of cooldowns off of this. Actually, no, yeah, they got Baron off the map, and then they tried to push into Baron, and then while this is all going on, Kyle's just getting an inhib top lane. So they really started to just capitalize the split push. They end up grabbing Avalon off this retreat, and then just kind of just kept throwing it down bot lane. They picked off Good Boy in the sequence. They get a bot lane tier three, and the big play that ended up like being the game winning play here was at the 29-minute mark where Kyle just ended up picking off Eclipse and just an insane alt angle and grab there
Oh my
from him.
god. The 21 minute and about 40-second clip has got to be one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. That Tom Kench escape. I don't remember seeing that. Oh my god, that's so funny. I'm dead. Holy moly.
I should try to go back and watch this.
I'm gonna go watch the clip you were just talking about. I just that was that was priceless. You see what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, the Rift Herald. I completely forgot about the Rift Herald. But yeah,
Yeah, that was a late Rift Herald spawn too. So, anyways, you were saying it was at 26 minutes is when the play happened.
it's like 20. No, so it started at 26 was the whole sequence there.
Okay.
where they just got Baron, they backed, and they were just Instinct was trying to full send it off to the bot lane tier two, and Matt got a really good net onto Don. Don took him out, though he ends up falling. But now Inferno has a full minion wave spawning. Arctic has to pop the ult, and everybody else is kind of coming off spawn. Ashes just got respawned, Monk did. And this whole time frame, Kyle is hitting bot or top lane inhib off the Baron push, and then also like Femboys did get grubs here, so Kyle's push is even better.
Oh my goodness. That Ash arrow though onto Monk to start the play. That's crazy. Man, if Avalon lands on Impale too, like I mean, the game probably just straight up ends. That's the crazy part.
Yep.
There are
But
so
then
many moments. It's at a knife's edge, man.
yeah,
And you see they're trying to force the commit because of the split push happening. They're trying to take advantage of it. I think if they just played a little slower after the initial pick, I do think it works out pretty well. Um, but instead they kind of just force a little too hard, and then bad things start to happen.
yeah, I think the chaoticness that like Femboys brought to this game, especially the past 20-minute mark, where they just kept trading objective for objectives, and just overall like made Instinct make really like tough decisions. I felt like they capitalized on a lot of that quite well, and that ending sequence there from like 26 to 29 minutes showcased a lot of that. So it was impressive considering the game's not really going their way. They don't have a comp that's like known for scaling, and the tanks are just getting tankier. So uh, overall, it was a super super clutch ending to that game for Femboys to bring it to game five.
Indeed. I was like, why did my stuff freeze? It must have been you. Never mind, not me. Your cast,
Probably.
your stream must have froze. Yeah, no, and I think that's the best thing about this is we had our biggest split yet. I thought we had one of our best competitive playoffs, and then we finally, in like what 3 splits or something, finally got ourselves a game five in the finals again. Like it felt so right. It's like this is what it's supposed to be. We're not supposed to be seeing Bori and the boys dusting everybody they see. Like that's just I'm happy for them every time they win, but man, I want to see a battle, you know? I want to see two teams going at it all the way to the finish line. Um, and finally able to get that is great, and with two new teams, right? No matter what, here at this point, we were going to have a new champion, and that's got to be exciting if you're just a fan of League of Legends and a fan of our league here in the Lower Midwest. So, um, really extremely happy for both teams to be able to get here and put on that show for us.
Hmm.
So with that said, I was playing the ending sequence here, but we can go ahead and jump on over here to game five. And game five, I feel like though all the nice things I just said, I do have a slight negative caveat to this. Game five kind of just seemed like the sales fell out of Instinct, and it was not as competitive as basically the whole series. Um, so I don't know what your take on that is, but that's just kind of what I felt about it watching it.
I can agree. I think Femboys getting the B1 Renekton here, Instinct had really good like a really good 1-2 response, but I really like Monk on this Fizz. We know he loves to play it. He's absolutely fantastic at the champion. But looking at how the rest of the draft shaped out, I just felt like Instinct didn't have enough answers on the table for this Fizz. I mean, the Zaya was really good. in regards to, Zaya can soak up the ult and just ult it. But the Viego and the Garen, you need both of these champions to kind of get off the ground to become tanky enough to frontline. And then you're relegating Poppy to support, which she's not going to get tanky enough either. So you've now put yourself on this kind of I need to brawl and win these early game brawls, a snowball here. And Femboys has kind of drafted the same style, but I think their comp has a little better uh, just kind of form to them. The Zeri Yumi, you do have late game endurance with the Zeri, but then also if anybody gets ahead, Yumi just magnifies them, snowballing even more. Putting Yumi on Renekton or on Monk is on Monk's Fizz is really good. I really, really loved Inferno on the Sejuani here. I thought having two melee solo laners set up Sejuani's passive really well. It wasn't something that was like overly utilized in this game, but it was just something that was impressive to see in the draft that they can still come up with a pretty cohesive comp to where Instinct felt like they just kind of ran out of champions in
Yeah,
some roles.
it did kind of feel that way too. I think my biggest takeaway though from the draft for Instinct is this: everything is fine, just not Viego. The problem with Viego has always been the same problem with Viego. You're playing for resets. That is now like your basically your win con. And I don't like pinching myself as a player into that type of win con. Listen, I think Viego in the best circumstance is still not better than like 20 junglers. I genuinely mean that.
Yeah, I'm not a
In the best situation for the champion. Because I just think his win con will always hinder the capabilities of the team. Um, with that being said, like you have Zaya here, she can certainly be your win con. I think the only problem is that she generally does like a bit of a more front to Becky comp, and that's not the comp they really set up here, right? They kind of set up a burst down a target and get the resets going. That's the comp they want. They have Ari plus Garen for that reason. Ari for the single target lockdown CC, and then Garen to go in, throw his entire kit at someone's face, and blow them up. But it's not easy to blow anybody up in this game. Renekton is going to
Mhm.
be relatively tanky. Sedge is going to be tanky. Fizz is deceptive with his E. And then your best target is Zeri, and that's what hoping maybe Don Don gets on Zeri's face. But then the Yumi there to back it up. It's hard. It's hard to play for that win condition. Um, and unfortunately, with the Renekton getting big and the Fizz eventually getting a bit strong, what came to pass is what happened. What I kind of talked about in that first game of the series here was that when we were talking on the show here to clarify, and that's like something I said like 2 weeks ago. No, it's just once these side lanes get to do their side lane things, meaning specifically Kyle and Monk, and if they weather the storm to get to that point, aka Game 5, it's over, and that's what we saw. We saw them finally get to shine, and for as good and great players both Arctic and Good Boy are, um, this was not neither of their best performances by any means. And again, I still think that's part of just bit of the picks here, and maybe you have more advantages with something else. But I kept saying to myself, Pantheon is literally sitting there on the table. I don't think he was banned for this game 5, right? Um,
Not to my
why
knowledge.
why can't we just slam Pantheon? Why can't we just like take this free champion and go chop people down? You know, I couldn't fathom it, man. I could not fathom it.
I also like speaking of the draft a little bit. Like I agree. I'm not a big Viego merchant myself. But I thought if you were going to draft Viego Ari, which both operate off resets, and you want a little bit of late game insurance here with Eclipse on Zaya, I felt like you needed a bigger like front line so you can go more front to back. So I thought like moving Poppy top lane and then bringing something like Leona, like a Braum. I don't know. Braum might have been banned. But I digress. Something that if this Fizz is going to dive into this front line or try to land an ult onto the back line, he's going to get punished for it. The Garen can do it with silence, but it's not the most reliable thing than like, okay, Fizz is diving into like a Leona or something. Um, because once you lock down the Fizz or the Renekton and burst him down, then you can start to turn the front to back and push the other comp forward or backwards by you moving forwards, and then you're getting resets off that too.
Yeah,
So it was interesting.
I took a peek. By the way, there was no Braum ban.
Yeah,
I had to check if there was a Vi ban. I couldn't remember, and there was.
there was a vibe ban.
Yeah, yeah. But
Femboys did
yeah,
ban
again, I
vibe.
think Pantheon's at the table. I think Pantheon works
Yep.
fine. I think Pantheon's pretty good with the Ari pick. I also don't think Pantheon's that bad in the Fizz. I mean, once the E is down, like, which Ari probably will be able to exhaust herself, he pretty much just dies if Pantheon looks at him. you know? Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. Nonetheless, Monk is very, very good at Fizz, so I'm sure he could outplay Pantheon too. I'm not even going to sit there and act like he couldn't. It's just one of those things. You're looking at the champions that were on the table, right? And that's probably my biggest takeaway here from Instinct. And I think for a team that is so good as they are, I do think they're going to look back at this and they're going to learn from this and grow. And I certainly expect them to be back here next split, if not on the cusp of being back here. Um, and if they get this opportunity again, I know they will not waste it. Uh, they're good enough to beat any team and to win any series. Um, Unfortunately, though, sometimes you get into those situations in game five. It's a stressful situation. I can only imagine what draft talk was like at that moment. You know, you come from nearly winning game four and winning the series 3-1, being the champs, and now you're here in game five going, all right, guys, how are we going to play this? So I can only imagine the pressure was immense at that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. I 100% with that. Instinct is in my opinion, one of the most like savvy teams. They definitely go back. They do their due diligence reviewing. Like they take a lot of their games and learn from it quite a bit. So I'm happy to see what they take out of this. But man, Femboys, they brought it here this game five and got rewarded for it.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, the game kind of started to fall apart, especially once Monk started roaming on this Fizz. He went topside around like the 14-minute mark. They were able to kill Garen, and they get multiple kills afterwards, get a turret. Like they start taking over the game, and you've got a 4 kill, a 4 kill Renekton, and a 3 kill Fizz. Man, it's gonna be tough, and that's pretty much. I think at that point, like you kind of felt even through the shutdown that Zion got, by the way, I think you kind of felt the energy was like, okay, how are they gonna answer this? Because it wasn't even like Zeri wasn't like decently strong too.
Yeah, yeah. This was the first and only game this series that Femboys got off and actually had like an early gold lead, like pre 14 minutes. So the fact that they had this comp ahead, it's impossible for Instinct to really like mount a comeback
Yeah,
without some
it
like kind of
was
cheesier
it
stuff.
was one of if not the biggest gold lead of the series too. So I think that's where I kind of felt like the sales kind of fell off because it just did not feel anywhere nearly as competitive as the first 4 games. But that's like that can be game fives for you sometimes. Sometimes the best game is your game two, three, or four. It's not your game five. You know, we're happy to be got to game five, but it can be anticlimactic a bit at times.
Yep.
So with that said, is there anything else you want to say about the series or any more takes about the split here, CLT?
Um, I mean, I'll just kind of reiterate what I think you said earlier. The fact that we had 24 teams, um, the fact that everything um, went smoother than I expected it to be with so many teams. There was a couple scheduling hiccups here or there, and I think we were pretty accommodating, and all the teams worked really well with each other regarding that, especially here in the finals. But 24 teams, we got every game casted with minimal casting over replays. I think probably not hard to say that like 75 to 80% of the games were all casted live. And we had I am 100% with you, the most competitive playoffs we ever had. And this 5 game series just showed everything that and culminated the series. You've seen, a one stomp, you've seen competitive games, you've seen almost a base race comeback. You've seen an absolute comeback in game 4 to force game 5. And I think we had the two best teams here in the finals, and I think they gave us something to look back towards and really enjoy.
Yeah, it was awesome, and I think there will be changes coming. I know we put out that survey. Hopefully you guys are getting on the survey and replying. Please do. A lot of stuff to go over. We do plan to have a mod meeting about some rule changes that are. So that means we're going to take some of the input you guys gave us, and some other stuff we just wanted to go over and improve upon as a mod team and for you guys in the league, probably in the next week or so. So do expect probably, if I had to guess, signups will be up in probably about 2 weeks. That's kind of my time frame. So look out for that. Uh, the start date will be tentative like it always is. Um, we're really gonna work that one out. We're gonna iron that one out because I really want Rec League to get to shine. I mean, the first week of Rec League, unfortunately, the finals got played here for Sweat, and though I'm happy we've got both teams at full strength here for the finals. Something I do want to note, and this is something me and CLT have discussed about. This is something the rest of the mod team we have talked about in the past. Moving forward, we are going to be more strict about when these games are getting played. And what I mean by that is, if we give you 8 days, you're going to get 8 days. Doesn't matter if it's the finals or if it's week one. That's going to be what it's going to be like, and so that's going to be hard in stone. I don't want to be jerk about it, but listen, guys. At the end of the day, we have lives, right? And we also have other people that are counting on us. And in this case, it was the Rec League that was counting on us. And with me being out on that Thursday, CLT was cut really thin and had to count on other people to try to help out. And when that happens, it's hard. And the focus really should have been on these new teams here in Rec. Again, no disrespect to the teams that played because it was awesome that we got to get the series played regardless. 5v5 full strength. Just something I do want to point out. With that all being said, I thought it was a fantastic split, and I'm so thankful to continue to be a part of this community we're building, and thankful for CLT to have now accomplished the goal of, ready for this, guys, the first full split where we didn't miss a single show. Yeah, this show took a week, but that's fine. We got all of them out there. I am so proud of us. We did accomplish that goal, so we didn't miss a single week. Um, and yeah, so that's pretty much my takeaway. It's a little longer episode than I think I actually anticipated for just one series, but I'm glad it's our last one. And congratulations to Femboys again and getting the victory. And tell me what the hell skins you guys want, man. I'm still waiting, so I can pay those out.
Yeah, yeah. Let Harewood know what skins you want.
Yeah. Let somebody know. You can tell COT too. We just like to know. You guys got time.
Yes.
I'm not pushing it, but I'd like to have these done within the next 2 weeks or something. So that way I'm not chasing you guys down and start of the next split. I do not want to be doing that.
If
Um,
if if not, I'm gonna just pick your skins.
yeah, he's just gonna pick your skins.
Yeah.
Last things I guess before we close out the show. So what do you guys? We kind of already talked about when you expect signups to be up, but what other stuff is there going on? What else to look forward to? Well, I'll start with this. Obviously, if you're a fan of just the league and you want to watch more of the Legends, we still got the Rec League going on. That started a week ago, and we did take a week off for the fourth, but we're going to continue that. So, catch that Sunday. There will be a series this week, so at least one so far. Uh, yeah, they're moving into week two. We're still going to have the show. Yeah, if you're wondering about that, the show will still be taking place. CLT, like I said, will be taking basically the split off from it. Might pop in here and there, but we are going to have Nexus coming in to co-host with me. So me and him are going to be talking about Rec League. I'm not going to lie, week one might be a little not perfect for me. Again, with my medical stuff going on, I just really have not been able to get into enough of the games like I've wanted to, but I still will give something. It's not gonna be bad, I promise. I'll never be bad, but I won't have as much knowledge there. Um, we still going to be streaming games, so you still watch those, obviously. Um, let's see what else. CLT, didn't you have something else planned too? You were talking about doing?
Um, no, I think I floated out the idea of doing like an arena in-house, but I did not get the the input, so we just ended up letting that go. I think everybody was traveling on 4th of July, so it was just kind of one of those I threw out there. But you mentioned Midwest Weekly for the Rec League, which all of the Rec League guys are super excited for that one.
Yeah, I'm
So
glad.
actually they're kind of asking me about it now. Um, so they're super excited to get their games cast. I know we have a game tomorrow and then one on Wednesday already confirmed. But no, super super excited for the Rec League. Super excited to see the inputs, what everybody has. We have a lot of people, so I would highly expect a lot of input
Yeah,
and see what we can improve on.
absolutely. Any other things to know? Let's see. I have a cool project in the works with CLT. We've been doing it for some time now. He's just gonna do it on his own leisure. It's like a multi project here. He's going in and getting cool stats for the history of the league when he has time. It's only when he has time, so you can't pressure this guy. It might take him a year to do this. I don't know. He could
It's
do
not gonna take me a year.
he could do his
I
thing.
actually I have all of them done up till this past split,
Yeah, and
and
that's
then now I gotta
kills.
include Rec League. So
Yeah,
yeah, that took me a whole week, and that was crazy.
yeah. But I'm sure he's gonna do more than kills. I'm sure he's gonna probably do assists. The basic stuff. I don't know how in depth we're going on that one because he's one person and I haven't committed to doing it yet. Maybe I'll help him out a little bit. Me and him both always are doing like some sort of project. We just got to get invested in. This is his thing. I always have my little thing going on too. Which, if you're wondering, I plan on at some point uh, putting out a graphic maybe or maybe even like a website. I don't know. I really don't know, but I want to have the actual history of the league. I went in and this is not referring to stats but like past winners and stuff like that. I do have all of that documented, but I want to put it in a format or a way that you guys can go and look at it in a really cool way. So that's going to happen eventually. It just that takes manpower and hours, and I only know so much. And then lastly, Midwest Hall of Fame, maybe that might be a thing. We'll
Interesting.
see. Well, I have ideas, but if I do it, I'm gonna do it this year. I will do it this year. Me and Tilty have discussed it a little bit before. I've discussed it with some other mods. Um, but I feel like it's just a cool thing to honor people, and I know that some of these guys have moved on in their lives and are probably not going to play League of Legends like they used to. Probably not going to be as active in the server anymore. But I'd like to honor them because we're not here without them. So these 5 years, going on 6 years, just does not happen if they don't exist. That's before my time, before CLT's time. There's a long history here. Um, so yeah, I'm not like gonna induct 10 people though. That's not happening. But we're gonna do that. It might not come with like a big trophy or anything, man, or a cool ring like the NFL or something. But it's more of a thank you, a thank you to those who've come before us. So that's pretty much it. So that's all you guys got coming up. COT, any more stuff you'd like to say before we head out?
No, I appreciate all the love and support everybody's been giving us, and we're gonna keep this train moving.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all once again for watching the shows, for taking part in the streams, for playing in the league if you play, for being fans of COT and myself and everybody else around us. And thank you to the rest of the mod team because they still do stuff even if Minus is AFK somewhere. I'm just kidding. No, but thank you to all of them as well. I mean, we're not here without them, me and CLT. Uh, and Rusty. Like Rusty did tons of work this split, so thankful to him. Um, so yeah, man, just thankful for all that, and Congratulations once again, Femboys. All right, there you go. I had to do it one more time. All right, well, we're out of here. So you guys have a wonderful night, and we'll see you guys in 2 months. Well, I'll see you guys in a day, but CLT will see you in 2 months. Peace
Yep, yep.
out.
Peace.